history in real time, in plain view, on purpose, with the cameras rolling. Two leaders in this context interacting with one another in a way that has never happened before. The American president and vice president publicly turning on and betraying an ally of the United States of America and all of our allies to benefit the autocratic leader of Russia. Joining our coverage, Yale University professor Tim Snyder, author of the best-selling books on tyranny and on freedom. Your thoughts?
Well, my first thought, honestly, was shame when I watched that very basic things like hospitality, decency, respect were not being honored, that we invite someone to our house and he has to come, and it takes him days, and he's leaving a land that's at war, where tens of thousands of people have been killed, where he's visited the front, where he's seen things that none of the people in that room have seen, and that we just can't treat him decently, that we might have disagreements, but we can't treat him decently. Instead, we choose this path of open abuse, where the abuse has a politics behind it, where the abuse means we don't see you as an equal, we see you as somebody that we can manipulate, and where the abuse harmonizes all too perfectly with the kind of abuse that Ukrainians have had to listen to from Russian leaders and Russian propagandists for the last 3 years and longer. That was my first reaction.
Say more. I mean, I think this abuse pattern, I said once during the first term that the whole country is in an abusive relationship with Donald Trump as he tramples our traditions and our proudest norms and the dignity of the Oval Office. But I hadn't thought of it that way today. Say more.
Yeah, the problem that he has with a foreign leader like Zelensky is that Zelensky can't bow down. Not only personally, because he's a man of integrity and ethics, but also because he's a democratically elected president. So he comes from another country. He was elected by tens of millions of citizens of another country. He represents a reality that Trump can't control. And so Zelensky can't be bullied the same way that Americans can be bullied. We can be bullied because we feel conformist with our information environment, because of what our neighbors say, because we're afraid of what Trump might do, and so on and so forth. But when Trump comes up against the outside world, he has a problem. And that's when we all see that it's an abusive relationship, right? That's the moment where the sun breaks in and we realize, okay, this is what he's been doing to us the entire time. And it oughtn't to happen to anyone.
Tim, Marco Rubio, days ago, and going back decades, or a decade, has told the truth about Vladimir Putin and Russia and Zelensky. Lindsey Graham, 11 days ago, face-to-face with Zelensky, told the truth about Zelensky and the murderous autocratic leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin. Today, after the ambush in the Oval Office, they refuse to stand up for their own truths they told. What is that? What is that dynamic in the souls of those men?
It's very, very dangerous, as you're suggesting, because if you're a senator or if you're a secretary of state, if you hold a position of responsibility and honor and power within the American government, it's not your job to think the same thoughts as the president. It's your job to represent your constituents. If you're a senator, to represent your own values. If you're a secretary of state, it's your job to counsel the president. It's your job to run the Department of State. But it's not your job to be a human echo chamber. It's not your job to simply repeat what the president of the United States says. The danger of this is that we become a government without thought. We have a government of one man and his set of impulses. And another thing which is very much on display today, vulnerabilities. One thing about this video which is striking is that anyone watching, from the leaders of China to the leaders of Russia to the leaders of Iran and North Korea, has on full display Mr. Trump's very unfortunately prominent set of emotional vulnerabilities, the ways that he can be triggered, the things that set him off. And we're putting this on full display. And so now we have people falling in behind not something which is American interests, or even necessarily American words, but just a set of psychological vulnerabilities. And that's not a path that can lead anywhere good.
I want to ask you about J.D. Vance's role in all this. I have to sneak in a quick break first and ask you to stick around.